Why should you put money under a baby's pillow? 2. Why is it that you should not use a scissors to cut a baby's fingernail? And number 3, what does it mean when a baby is smiling in its sleep? If you want to know the answers to these questions, stay with me to the end of this video and then I will share with you what the answers are. Greetings and salutations everyone, and welcome back to another of my videos. My name is Doreen Reed and I create content about all things that are creative, things educational and things cultural. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, thank you so much for tuning in and joining, and of course if you are a returning person, welcome. Now I have been doing a series of videos on Jamaican superstitions, and of course I've been getting quite a lot of feedback from a number of persons who are Jamaicans living in Jamaica, Jamaicans living outside of Jamaica, and even other persons from other islands and even other territories who share similar experience about what's happening within their territory and what some of these superstitions, the things that are similar, the things that are different, and the things that they've never heard before, and people are sharing their experiences. And of course I thought the conversations were so rich. So thank you so very much everyone for tuning in. And of course, before I jump into today's video, I just want to say to all my new subscribers, thank you, big up yourself. I just want to celebrate you because you have helped me to reach 1,000 subscribers. So big up yourself, and I'm happy that you have found the videos quite useful. So enough of the chit chat. Let's jump into today's video. I'm going to continue the series on Jamaican superstitions and the folklores that exist within Jamaica. So come along with me today and I'm going to share with you some of the superstitions that exist in Jamaica about babies. Yes, the superstitions are so rich, there are so many that we can categorize them, and today I want to share with you 20 different superstitions that exist in Jamaica about babies. Now, most of the superstitions around babies is about protecting the babies, and so I want to jump straight into it. Number 1, when you have a young baby, you should get a bottle of olive oil and pray over it to make it consecrated, and you should use that consecrated olive oil to anoint the baby's skin from head to toe. It is believed that the consecrated olive oil will ward off evil spirits. Have you ever heard this in your country? Number 2, you should put a baby in red at all times, whether it's a ribbon in the hair, something on the wrist. At all times, the baby should be wearing red. Or you should open a Bible over the baby's head when the baby is laying either in its crib or on the bed. And most time, you open it to a psalm, preferably Psalm 23 or Psalm 91. It is believed if you do this, it will prevent the baby from being restless as he or she is sleeping. Number 3, do not play with the bottom of a baby's feet. Yes, so sometimes you see a little baby and the little feet look so cute and you want to hold on to them and you just want to tickle it a little bit. Jamaican superstition says, listen, do not play with the bottom of a baby's feet, because this will allow them to become dumb, as in they are unable to speak. I'm sure you don't want that to happen to your babies or your friends' babies or just anybody baby at all. So do not play with the bottom of the baby's feet. Number 4, if you are passing a baby to somebody, it's believed that you should not pass the baby backwards to the individual. Anybody that you're passing the baby to, you should ensure that the baby's face is facing the individual that you're handing the baby to, because it is believed that if you practice to pass them to the individual backwards, you're opening them up to view evil spirits who may be lurking somewhere within the vicinity. Number 5, do not leave babies' clothes online after dark. And of course, some people will tell you that they will say that about even adults, but it is very specific that you should not leave babies' clothes on the line after dark. As a matter of fact, before it gets to 6 o'clock or by 6 o'clock, you should take up all the baby's clothes, especially if the baby is not yet christened or baptized, whichever term you use in your territory, because it is believed if you leave the clothes out there, you leave it open to evil spirits, and of course the evil spirits or the ghost will follow the baby around because they will be so familiar with the infant's clothing. So remember, sometimes we might get busy, we have so many things to do, but remember that we need to take up the baby's clothes off the line very early. There are some persons who may not be using lines because you have a dryer, and some people may put the baby's clothes in a dryer for it to dry. But for those of us, or those of you who hang the baby's clothes on the line, remember, do not allow those clothes to stay out there after dark. Now, number 6, when you bathe a baby, you should stretch the baby, meaning you should stretch the baby's limb. Now listen, don't break it off. There's a special way, of course, in which you technique that you will use to stretch it. I remember when I was growing up, and I used to sometimes assist my aunt in bathing some of my niece and my nephews, and even my grandmother. What my grandmother would always say, stretch the baby, and I would watch her sometimes hold the leg a particular way and turn the baby upside down, and they would stretch the baby a bit. It is believed that when you do that, you will help the baby to grow and become tall. You want them to grow and grow quickly, you have to stretch the baby's limbs. Number 7, when you carry a baby on your shoulder, you should always aim to carry the baby and allow the baby's head to be a little below your shoulder, because it is believed if the baby's face is facing behind you and the baby is looking over your shoulder, it is believed that evil spirits or duppies or ghosts, whichever term you use, will play with the baby. It is also in that same vein that they will say to you, listen, when you have a baby on your shoulder, do not allow anybody to stand behind you and play with the baby from behind. Because if you do that, you're setting them up to also play with the evil spirits, because the evil spirits will sense that, see that, and get in the midst and also play with the baby. So do not practice to have anybody playing with babies from behind or carrying a baby and have their heads or their head facing over your shoulder. Instead, try to hold them down a little below your shoulder so that their head is not facing behind you. Number 8, and I've seen this one happen quite a few times in my own family, in other people's family. It is believed that when a mom dies or a father, even a grandmother or aunt or anybody who lives in a home where there's a young baby and who was very close to the baby, if the individual dies, at the time of the burial or the funeral, the baby should be passed over the coffin or the casket, whichever term you use. You should pass the baby over the coffin because it is believed that the deceased spirit or deceased individual will recognize the baby in death and help to keep the baby safe instead of coming back to harm the baby. So it is in the best interest of the child to pass the baby over the coffin. The other part to it is this: if it is a mother who passed away, it is believed that you could also put a baby doll in the coffin with the mother. If you put a baby doll in the coffin with the mother, that way the mother doesn't start missing her baby and attempt to come back for the baby. So if you know of anybody who has transitioned and they've left a small child, yes, encourage them to put a doll in the coffin or pass the baby over the coffin. It is important. I've seen it happen several times in my community when I was growing up. I've heard my grandparents with it, and I've seen other persons do it, and it has happened within my own family. So, um, I don't know if you've ever tried this. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you've ever seen it, just share for me in the comment what was your experience. How did you feel? What were your thoughts? And what explanations were you given when this actually happened? Number 9, do not hip a baby. What does this mean? It means do not carry the baby on your side and spread the legs apart, one towards the front, one towards the back. It is believed that if you do that, you will cause the baby to have very wide, unnaturally wide legs. Yes, when they start walking, and so you are encouraged not to hip the baby. That is what they call it in Jamaica. Number 10, you should not allow a baby's umbilical cord, and in Jamaica we call it the navel string. Yes, do not allow a baby's umbilical cord to fall to the ground. If it happens, it is a sign of bad luck. Also, you should take that baby's navel string and plant it under a tree in your yard. And that's very common in most Jamaican communities, especially in the rural areas. A number of persons can point towards a tree in their yard to say to you, that's where my navel string is planted. And of course, people take pride in it. It is believed that if at some point in time, that tree under which the navel string is planted is chopped down, it is believed that the persons whose navel string are planted under that tree must be given money. They must be compensated for the loss, because the planting of the navel string under that tree almost give them ownership to the tree. So if you cut it down, you should pay them. Yes, or if the property is sold and the tree is there, it is believed that maybe a seedling of that tree should be given to the individual so they can continue planting, because it's a sign of their own life. Where is your navel string planted? Do you know? Do you have it stored somewhere in a bottle? Do you know under which tree your navel string is planted? Then maybe if you don't know, you should ask your parents, ask your grandparents. Maybe they would be able to share with you, all right, where that is. So ask that question. Number 11, a baby's hair should not be cut until he starts talking. A baby's hair should not be cut until he starts talking. It is believed that if you cut the baby's hair before he starts talking, then he will have delayed speech, or he may not be able to speak any at all. Have you ever heard this one before? Number 12. You should always place a small piece of thread, wet it, roll it up, a small balled up piece of thread, and place it in the center of a baby's forehead if he or she has hiccups. Place the thread in the center of the forehead, or you can use a matchstick that is not lit, so the sulfur of the matchstick is facing towards the baby's forehead, and you stick that just right here at the front of the head. Yes, it is believed that also helps to erase the hiccup that the baby is having. Number 13, do not allow babies to sleep alone in the dark. Do not allow babies to sleep alone in a dark room. It is believed that if that happens, then of course, duppy, evil spirit ghosts will play with the babies. So always leave some amount of light. It doesn't have to be very bright, but a little night light with some amount of light is necessary. Number 14. When a baby bends over and look between his or her legs, it is believed that he or she is looking for a baby sister or a baby brother. Now, parents, out there, if you have your little ones and you see them bending over and they're looking backwards between their legs, they are looking for a little brother or a little sister. So think about it. Are you going to give them that little brother or that little sister because they're searching for it? Number 15, do not play with a baby's cheek. It is believed that if you play with the baby's cheek all the time and keep kissing the baby on the cheek, it is believed that the baby's cheek will get very fat, overly fatter than you would want it to be. Number 16, when you are meeting a baby for the very first time, it is believed that you should put monies under the baby's pillow. Why should you do this? Because if you don't put the money under the baby's pillow, then you will be taking away the sleep from the baby. So the baby will become restless and be unable to sleep. So when you go to visit your friends, your families, and you know that they have a young baby and you're seeing the baby for the very first time, walk with some money and put it under the baby's pillow. That way you do not steal away the baby's sleep. Have you ever heard that one before? I don't know how you can steal away the sleep, but hey, that's what the Jamaican superstition says, so we are working with it. Number 17, it is believed too that you should not reveal a baby's real name or face in some instances to most people until the baby has been baptized, or in other words, we say christened. Yes, do not reveal a baby's name or a baby's face until the baby is christened. And some people believe that this is the very reason why the culture of pet names thrive in Jamaica. The culture of pet names thrive in Jamaica because you have somebody, they call you John, but your real name is actually David Brown, right? And so that John is called by everybody who was here around until you are christened, because it is believed that you should not reveal a baby's name until he or she is christened. Number 17. By the way, before I get to not number 17, number 18. Before I get into number 18 though, how many of you have pet names? In your territory that you live, do they have pet names? And pet names, when we talk about pet names, we are talking about the name that is not on your birth certificate, but everybody know you as that name. And so in the community where you live, everybody call you John. However, when we look at your birth certificate, which people in Jamaica call your government name, everybody calls you John. On that birth certificate, the name is David Brown. Do you have pet names in your territory? Share with us the history of your pet names that you have in your territories. So let's jump to number 18. Do not cut a baby's fingernail with scissors. Why? It is believed that if you cut a baby's fingernail with scissors, God forbid, the baby is more likely to become very finger-fearing, thief. It is believed that if you cut the baby's fingernails with scissors, that child is more likely to grow up and start stealing. Number 19. If a baby is smiling in its sleep, then it is believed that the baby is dreaming about the death of its mother. Let me repeat that. If a baby is smiling in its sleep, it is believed that the baby is dreaming about the death of his mother. However, the opposite stands. If the baby is crying in its sleep, it is believed that the baby is dreaming about the death of its father. I'm not sure how our moms out there are receiving this at all, but hey, that is what the superstition says. So when you look at the baby sleeping and you see them smiling or they're crying, now we know what exactly is going on in the minds of those small babies. Number 20, new mothers are expected or encouraged to stay indoors for a few days just after giving birth, because it is believed that if they don't stay indoors and allow themselves to be exposed to the air, then they will catch what you call baby cold. Yes, they'll catch what you call baby cold. And baby cold is something like the flu. Yes, but it affects the mothers differently. And it is believed that it is called baby cold. And when they have baby cold, it is hard for them to attend to the little ones. Now, have you heard anyone talk about anybody catching a baby cold before? Put it in the comments section and let us hear. As a matter of fact, let me know if you've heard any of these 20 superstitions about babies. Do they exist in your country? Do they exist in your territory? If you've heard any of them before, call to action, put it in the comment section. If you've never heard any of them, you can also put that in the comment section. But you can also share with us what has been your experience as it relates to any of the 20 superstitions that would have been outlined here. I trust and hope that you have found these 20 suspicions quite interesting, and it gives you a little bit more insight into what makes the Jamaican culture and heritage so rich, because we have so many folklores and so many things that we have inherited from our ancestors that makes us a very wealth of knowledge and a rich mix and a cultural space. So thank you so much for watching. Until I make another video, stay tuned. And of course, walk good, and I will see you again. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel.